and welcome to Skits and Quibbles. This show is sponsored by Click Arts Foundation, and we give grants to grassroots arts projects which build well-being in the community. Now, today's show is very, very special. We like to bring you creative industry professionals to learn about their experience, and we have Beth Price joining us today. She is a hairstylist, and we know how much a good hair day can really make us feel great. We're going to talk to her about hair, we're going to talk to her about the creative industry and how to get started as a hairdresser, how to run a business, and also the things to look out for as well. But her skill goes well beyond cutting and styling hair. She needs to think about the face shape of the client, the colours that might suit them, the texture of the hair, the cut of the hair, and so on. And so we're going to get really artistic today by watching her demonstrate a few of her styles. And we're going to go straight over where she's curling Judith's hair.
It's getting the tension on the hair, so it's a tighter twist. See what I mean? You don't get the tension with the tongs. So although you hold them on there longer, but you just don't get that same curl as what you would with straighteners. But tongs are great because sometimes if you're doing hair ups and things like that, you don't want the tension on the tongs with straighteners. You have to pull the hair, you know? Whereas if you're doing hair ups and things like that, tongs, you just grab a piece of hair, twist it round and you can just hold it there. So they're great for things like that. Or setting, you can set them, so if you're going around with like tongs, you can twist it up and hold it there in little clips and just set it and then let it go after, which is a nice way if you have more time, so it just takes longer as well. So again, in at the root and then twisting as you come down, and then the bottom, just make sure you twist the bottom so you don't end up with straight bits at the bottom too. Perfect. Very nice. Okay.
Welcome to Skits and Quibbles, Beth.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. Now, it was so fascinating watching you do the curling of Jude's hair, and we all look fabulous today, so thanks to Beth. Can you tell me a little bit about your career and how you came to how you got started and how you came to be where you are?
So I ended up buying my own hair salon at 18 years old. So 32 now, so quite a while. I've had it. I love my job, absolutely love my job, but I didn't know that's what I wanted to do initially, funnily enough. I love art, creative drawing, painting, things like that. That's what I wanted to do. Creative media, that's what I studied. But my dad was always very particular about hairdressing. He was, you can do it, you'd be great at it. So I got a job at 12 years old in a hair salon. We have washing hair, which I've become very good at. I do a good hair wash, believe it. But I become to get to know my customers, and I loved the connection with people, and so I decided that that's the route I started to kind of go down. So I did my training as well, and then in the end went to work for Hayz hair, and they couldn't keep me full time, so I got the opportunity. The boss was giving it up and offered it around. I unfortunately lost my dad 6 months prior, but he always said I'd be great, owning my own hair salon. So I jumped in, I took the opportunity. So yes,
It's just and you are so good at it. You're so quick at it as well. Because just watching you do that, that would take me forever, and I can't even do it my own hair. It's such a skill, and it is so much more than a simple cut and style. My hair is very different to Jude's. It's different to our producer Sarah's. Yeah. So what are the nuances of hair that maybe clients we need to understand a little bit? That may not work on my hair. It may not work.
So different types of hair are different. So Caucasian hair, for example, often lighter. Melanin levels are lower, so easier to lift. People Asian hair like yourself, it's darker hair is harder to lift. Melanin levels are a lot higher. Cuticles are a lot stronger, so it takes a lot more to lift and bleach hair. Even style hair doesn't hold styles so well. It's a lot more stubborn. The straighter the hair, the more stubborn it is. So people need to realise coming in and going through services like this that it's harder with different types of hair. You can't just look at a picture and think, yes, let's do this, you know?
Yes. Because
unfortunately with social media these days and everything as well, pictures are put up online and people see the pictures and think, this is how I want to look, you know?
Yeah.
But hair, depending on your hair type, isn't necessarily going to do that, you know? So it's the cuticles, the colours of hair and melanin levels and things like that people need to realise too.
And then just jumping in, sometimes with social media, they're using hair pieces and things like that as well on top of it, so you can't even get that particular style.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, when it comes to hair, there are so many different trends. Certain styles come back, they go out. I mean, how do you stay on top?
Well, social media is good for that too. You know? Social media is great for that. That tends to bring trends back in. You learn the basics through your training, you know, but it's teaching yourself too. So I often see videos online and I think, I'm going to give that a go on friends or family or models that have heads at home, practice on heads. But it is teaching yourself. Often doing training days and things like that too is really crucial to keeping yourself up to date. And my team, my staff members too, you know, they need to keep up to date as well. Things in Salon, you know, she often, like my stylist will watch me doing things, keep an eye on that and trying it out themselves. But social media is great for it. YouTube is fantastic too, you know. It's free, but it's so available to everybody just to watch and keep an eye on these new trends that are coming out and just teaching yourself too, you know, which is a great way of doing it.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So why is it that a good hair day makes us feel so good, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, we are feeling good now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel very glamorous.
Exactly. So we don't get the opportunity. Obviously, you come into the salon and clients like to sit and they like to talk as well, which I think often is a big release. Not just getting your hair done, but being able to talk as well is a great factor to that. But after having your hair done, you can't do your hair yourself like somebody else can, you know. So when somebody else does it, it just makes you feel $1 million, you know, when someone else does your hair. But yeah, the talking as well. But hair, when hair is not going the way that you want, it's so stressful. It's so stressful and it can bring you down. But when your hair looks great, it's uplifting, you know, it makes you feel so much better. So,
yeah, it's very true.
Definitely, definitely.
It does.
I mean, I know you're going to tell us a little bit more. Sorry, just butting in there because I can't wait to see how you did this style because that's going to be our next bit. But sorry, just interrupting you there. I got overexcited.
No, it's absolutely fine. I just wonder what your favourite styles are to do.
Hair ups are a favourite of mine. Wedding hairs, I love taking part in people's wedding days. It's absolutely fabulous, you know, just going from the beginning to the finishing product of doing the hair on a wedding day. It's great being part of it, creating styles and making, again, people feel fabulous on their wedding day, you know. Again, bringing in something and saying, can they make my hair like this? I try. Hair pieces, you know, that's where that is great. That's where it comes in. But hair ups have always been one of my favourites because it's often an event that they're going to and things like that and they don't do it themselves. So I can make that person feel $1 million just by doing their hair for them, you know, which is fabulous for me as well. It makes me feel great that I can make someone feel that way. But simple curling as well. It's also really effective because, again, people can't often do that themselves at home. So especially if I've done a colour on somebody that's a little bit different, or just they'll go off and dry their hair just naturally, you know. Whereas if I pop some simple curls in there, pulling the curls out so it's a softer look can also bring the colours out on that person's hair that I've done too. So just by simple curling really is effective. And it makes a big difference. So
and actually you'll see Beth doing a curl on Jude before she does our very next demo. So let's head over and look at how we got to this beautiful, beautiful updo.
I want to spray it in place too. You just have pins in your hands, what would Judith?
Yes, these ones.
Yeah, thank you.
Want me just to hand them to you?
Yes, lovely.
Oh, I dropped one.
So you start in the crown and just pin that in place. Oh, sorry, wrong ones.
Oh,
Sorry, I wasn't watching.
sorry. These ones?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So you pin the crown in place. Okay. And then maybe just pull bits out so it's not so tight against the scalp. And then we're just going to take sections as we go down. So, like this. Pop a pin. Sorry, Judith, can I have the more blonde ones in the black?
Yes.
They are a little, yeah, those ones lovely. Perfect, thank you. So, pop a pin into there like that. And then you're going to twist, pop it. So turn it over. Do it that way. Same on the other side. So you're going to come across again. And pin on the other side. So you're just taking one section from each side. Small enough sections, so nothing too big that the clips can't hold either. Lovely. And then pull pieces out too so it's not too tight against the scalp.
You've got to have so much patience. Do
Yes.
like little at a time, yeah.
Years of practice. But it stays in, you know, there's no point doing all the hard work and then so you'll soon get to a point where you might not want to keep pulling it over, then it might get too much. So I'm going to go one more so it's even both sides. Again into there, lovely. Perfect. So then these parts you might just start clipping. Oh, they're still quite long here actually, so I'm going to go one more. Take that over. Again, one more. Lovely. And pin into there. So these parts we then start just to create a bun at the back then. Mm-hmm. So twisting them together. And then thank you.
Whoops.
If you just look down for me, Judith. So we're going to gather these in a twist and just pop them in. So again, just twisting them together. And a pin at the bottom. And then popping them up. And last little bit. So you can have a few bits coming down too if you like to. Leaving them down so it's not so...
It softens it a bit.
Yeah, so you've got softer parts. Grabbing again, twisting them again. Clip at the bottom. Popping it in. So then you've just got your bits at the front. So I'm going to leave... Does that feel too much? Or... So it's however people prefer at the front, but so we've got enough to soften around the ears too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right, isn't it?
So then we finish off. Just adding these pieces. Into the sides. Perfect, thank you.
Obviously I can't see it, but it feels very glamorous.
Once you get the technique, it's so easy just to do it then, you know. Hair ups can take a long time if you wanted them to, but simple little techniques.
Yeah, I mean, for completely changing the look and style of something, it hasn't taken you that long.
Exactly.
Welcome back to Skits and Quibbles. We have Beth Price with us, and she has just made us all feel so glamorous. You will have seen her do a curl and an updo on Jude, and you can't see our producer, but she's had her hair done, I've had my hair done and we are feeling $1 million. So thank you so much. Now, hairstyling, is it competitive? Because I know that when I find a stylist in my area, I stick with them because they know my hair and I don't dare go to anywhere else.
Yes.
But is there more competition than we realise?
It's an incredibly competitive industry, hairdressing.
Wow.
It's incredibly, I mean, my salon that I had first of all was in Shefford initially, and the first year that I owned it, 3 more turned up, you know, so hairdressers are popping up everywhere. And it's an incredibly competitive industry. You've got high-end salons as well, a lot more expensive, but, you know, people go to those because they think, oh, they're better, which isn't always...
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. I've experienced that with a big brand name.
It is, but it is incredibly competitive. But it's also about a relationship that you build with your hairdresser too. Yes. So I have a lot of my customers that have been coming to me for the full 15 years that I've owned the salon, and it is they're a massive part of my life too, because you know it's loyal customers that keep my business going at the end of the day too. They're the people that I rely on the most, but. I have a strong relationship with these people, you know, the friendship as well, not just being their hairdresser, you know, talking to them, and you build such a strong relationship. But because of that, they always come back to, if you're having something about your hairdresser or with your hairdresser, you know, it's that they come back for too. So it's making yourself stand out from everybody else that's in the industry too, to make that person keep coming back.
Definitely, that's and it is that relationship, because
Yes,
there's a lot of trust with hair as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when there's a cut, there's no coming back from that.
No, absolutely not.
Or a perm, but let's not go into that. Right, what's the difference between a freelance hairdresser, hiring a chair, which is another one, and working in a salon or owning a salon? Do you have a preference, or is it something you do at each stage of your career?
So obviously freelance is going off self-employed yourself around to people's houses. I have done that. I did start doing that initially before I took on the salon, or just at the start as well. There was a lot more team members in the salon when I first took it on. So I had a little bit of time just to go off and do my own sort of thing as well. Have to say, hated it. I did hate it, because they were, it was new customers a lot of the time, but you are going into someone's house. You have to clean up, make sure you don't make a mess. You know, you're then putting people over baths to wash off colours. Yeah. People are leaning over the baths. It's a hard situation to work in when you're trying to do hairdressing. Exactly. Also making sure that you have everything on you that you need too, because people can change their mind at last minute, and then you're thrown in the deep end thinking, oh my God, I don't have that with me, you know? And that's the great thing with being in salon base, that you have everything there that you need. So you're set up for the worst, let's say, or something you're not anticipating happening. You're there and you're ready to go and tackle it. Hiring a chair, so you're still self-employed, but you are then given a percentage of your take-ins to the person that owns the salon or the premises. I have tried that in my salon myself briefly, but I find that gets incredibly competitive. So you're in the same building, and it's the clients that are coming in, and you're fighting for the client's
coaching, isn't it?
Exactly.
As well.
So if a stylist is off on holiday and their client turns up or something like that, or is ill, you know, and they want their hair doing then and there, if someone else can do it, they're going to take that person on, and it creates a really difficult atmosphere to be around a lot of the time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, that's
through no fault of your
no.
own, but it's.
I mean, it does work, and it's an incredibly
$5
popular way to go now. And lots of salons do it now. They rent the chair out. You know, it's easier in a way for the people that own the building because you know you're not worried about the takings coming in there. I'm getting that guaranteed money from that chair. That's how it is. Me, I found for me just in the salon having a team work together. It's a much nicer atmosphere, and you know they get paid, and they're there. You're there together, you know. So I find it's a nicer atmosphere to work in. Definitely.
Yeah, it's really great that you've been able to break that down because I think it just gives us something to think about. If you're thinking about, well, do I do this? And as you say, it might work for some people, but it really might not for others, and that's important.
Yeah.
Now let's go to clients where I wish I'd had a hairstylist who said to me, absolutely not, because not only did I have a perm in the 80s, but I decided probably about 2 years ago, I know this, I've got a really good idea. Bad idea in the 80s, bad idea now. Is there any time when you've had to say to someone, just don't? No, not you. Do not do that. That's not going to work for your hair.
I think people do come to me because they like my honesty. So I am pretty well known for that.
Brilliant.
That there are often times where people bring in something and they say, look at this, you know, I love this. Shall we do it? And for me, I do have to say no sometimes because you have to. Again, it might not work with that person's hair or their hair might not end up doing it. But again, you do have to think about what will suit someone and what won't. So yes, I've had a few occasions where I have told my customers, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, good for you. I think that's really important, actually, because after I did that, I had to then get it relaxed, straightened, and you know, it was a complete waste of money either way. Yeah. So good for you.
You would have rather the person said,
well, no.
I can see why you want it, but no.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
I'm all for different styles as well, different colours. You know, I think it's great. People should be able to do that. But I also want to be able to show off my work and people are going to see my work too, you know, and I want them to see that I'm thinking of the client, you know, definitely. So
all your clients are just walking adverts, aren't they?
Exactly.
So, you know, it's no point doing something that doesn't do that person any favours, I think, because it won't do you any favours.
Exactly. Love it.
Yeah.
All comes back to me, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think honesty is always the best policy. Definitely. So how do you help clients choose the right style then? Because say someone said, can I have this? And you think no. How would you then help them choose the right style? Is it to do with face shape and colouring?
Everything to do with face shape and skin tone as well, hair type, you know. So rounder faces, they often need something to frame, you know, not too harsh. Otherwise it can make the face look more square or, you know, even bigger. So you need the framing to take that away from that sort of face shape. Often someone with more of a sort of, you know, a longer face, they need more so similar shape but layering to give height and width around the side to make, you know, more of a rounder illusion, shall we say. Shorter face, height on top is important, you know, so you have to take all that into account. Fringes as well. With a short face, fringes will make the person's face look even smaller because you're closing down that size, you know. So something more side on, you know, framing the face from there. But colours as well, it's so important not to go too dark when your complexion is quite pale or, you know, something like that. It will drain you out. It can drain you out completely. So warmer tones, warmer skin tones, it all goes along with that sort of type of thing, you know. So it's so important. Important
to have a consultation, I suppose, just so that, especially for a new client.
Yeah, new clients in particular. Like I say, a lot of my customers have come in a long time and I know them and I know their hair. You know, new customers come in, it's so important to sit down, have a consultation, talk it through, what will work, ideas that they have, things that I can then improve from there that suit that type of person and their skin tone and their shape, their face, you know. It's really important, really important.
So how often do you get asked for a complete restyle? People come in and say, right, I just want to look completely different. And do people stick with that or do they revert back to their kind of trusted style?
I've had a bit of both. But restyles are quite, the time of the year is often when you notice people coming in and wanting a complete restyle. You know, so in the summer, it's hot. People want to take the length off a bit more, you know, go for more bobs and they want the blondes. And then often if people have long hair and they do go shorter, If they're not willing to style it and it doesn't work, that's when they start growing it maybe a little bit more and finding a part where they're happy with. Obviously, I will never put a bobbin if I didn't think it would suit someone, but they have to be willing to style it. You know, you have to be willing to put the work in, because you can't just tie it up with hair like that. You know, so picking a shorter style, you have to be willing to put a little bit more work in. And then you often see people sometimes slide back to old ways where they're growing it and then it goes back up in a ponytail again, you know? I'm like, why? Why do you do that? It looks so nice short and styled, but they don't want to put the work in to do it. So it's what fits in with people's lifestyles too, isn't it, at the end of the day? You know, if they need to just chuck it up, they've got children, busy lives, you know, chucking it up is the way to go. But shorter styles do need that little bit more work. So that's when you see people, just growing it again bit by bit and you know, things like that. Or bleaching roots is another one as well, you know. Let's not bleach the roots, just go for highlights. And they go, no, I'm going to do it. Well, your roots are going to come through, you know. You're going to get these roots come through. Probably every 3 to 4 weeks they're going to start appearing. Oh, it's all right, I can tackle that, you know. Do it, and then they come back, that's too much. I can't keep up with it, so let's go back to the highlights, you know. So that's often the case. Yeah.
That's so important to hammer home, actually. The short styles need more work.
Yes. Exactly, which is why I've always had long hair.
Yeah, since being an adult. Put it up. Exactly. Now, talking of tying up, this is going to be the next style. A lot of people, including myself, we like to know the French plait because it looks so pretty, but it feels fiddly to do. You're going to talk us through this, and you're going to demonstrate this on our producer, Sarah.
Yes. So, French plait. We start with taking a section on the top of the head and splitting into 3 equal parts. Then we are simply going to take one from the right hand side, feed it over the middle, and the left over the middle. And then as you come to do the right hand side one again, you turn it over, taking a section of hair from the right hand side over the top and into the middle section. Make sure that's nice and tight to the scalp. So feeding over the top, take the underneath piece and then the left hand over the top. And once the left goes over, you, like the right hand side, take a piece from the left. Make sure you keep tension on all 3 parts. So the left has gone into that section, then we bring the right over the top again. So each time adding a section of hair from each side, taking it from the front of the face into the middle. Nice tension on there, still over the top. Bringing that piece from underneath, make sure you've got it nice and tight, left over the top. And again, section of hair from front to the middle of the head, keeping it nice and tight. Over the top. Keep tension on each 3 pieces, otherwise it will all come apart. So right over left, from the ear to the middle. Making sure the hair doesn't mess up in the centre. So again, keeping tension, left hand side to the middle, nice and tight, and over, right over the top. So you have to make sure each piece you take into the plait is over the top. So that's the difference between French and Dutch too. So French plait goes over the top, Dutch goes underneath the braid, so the plait ends up sitting on the top. So we're going on top, same again. Keeping nice tension, and over the top, adding another piece. So this look can be altered slightly by pulling the plait apart when you've done it to create a bigger plait, so not so tight, making the overall look bigger. But again, so in nice amount of tension over the top. There we go. Again, keeping the tension nice and tight towards the nape of the neck. Adding each section over the top. And then especially important at the bottom that you keep the tension there, otherwise that's the shortest part of the hair, so where they will end up coming out if you don't keep the tension in. Over the top, twisting over, and the last two pieces, so nice, and hold it tight into the nape, pulling these pieces in, over the top, and the last piece, nice and tight. So obviously there's layers, short hairs here, so you just want to try and keep the tension as much as you can. And then secure the bottom. There you go.
Welcome back to Skits and Quibbles. We've got Beth Price with us. We are talking about hair and having a good hair day because all of us have had a brilliant hair day today.
Yes.
Now, how do we look after our hair, especially when there's a lot of heat, there's a lot of styling that goes into it?
Yes, so heat protecting products are so important, especially with hair that's been bleached, shall we say, or hair that is being used a lot with heat. So if you're straightening your hair a lot, if you blow dry your hair a lot, it's so important that you use heat protecting sprays. Often popping in on damp hair and blow drying it in so it is blown into the cuticles, which is when you need to protect it, because your cuticles open along the hair, you know, cuticles open, and that's when damage is prone to get in and heat is prone to get in and damage the hair. So close those cuticles, which really protects the hair from damage from heat. Straighteners and bleach too. And often masks as well, you know, conditioning masks, treatments. If you're having heavy things done, so bleaching and damaging things on your hair done, it's so important that you have masks and treatments done following that to rebuild the cuticles that could possibly be damaged in that process to keep your hair looking great. Even at home, you know, it's so important just to keep popping a mask on every now and then, which really will make a difference on your hair.
Yeah, the masks I think are definitely a great idea. I swear by those because mine is very, very bleached at the front, but that really makes a difference. So definitely. But also, what changes do we have to be aware of as we get older, especially as hormones change and so on? And how do we prepare for that? Because we can lose hair and all kinds of things.
Yeah, so again, obviously greys will start popping in, and greys are a very different type of hair to what you may already have, you know, prior to that. Greys are a lot more coarser. Again, they're also lighter as well. So if you are darker or you've been dyeing your hair dark for so many years and you start to get greyer and greyer, that's your complexion starting to change. So that's your body almost telling you, you know, we're changing now. So going with that, that's when often people say, okay, let's go maybe lighter with the highlights, you know, blending it through. So going with your complexion and you know, blending those greys through with blonde highlights, something a little bit less harsh to what you're used to before. Finer hair as well, if your hair is starting to thin out. This is when people say, when I reach a certain age, is it so important to go shorter, you know, and things like that. But, you know, with taking hair shorter when you've got finer hair, it shows or gives the illusion that your hair is thicker. So if you find your hair thinning out as you do get older, you know, listen to that, because often holding on to hair that is thinning, it's going to make it worse for you, you know, taking it shorter and thickening it up. That's when people often change to go shorter as they get older to go with that hair type. Yeah,
that's really interesting. That kind of leads me on to my next question, and it's a bit of a controversial question because you see all of these women over a certain age shouldn't have their hair blah blah blah. Now, from what you've said, there's logic in some of it, because if it's too long and it's thinning and then it's too heavy, then that makes a bit of sense to keep it healthy. But it shouldn't be a cosmetic thing, should it?
Absolutely not. No. Unless there is a reason to it, you know, obviously with people's treatments maybe and things like that people have to go through. But I'll use my mum as a prime example. She is nearly 70 years old. Sorry, mum's 68. But but she has amazing, long, thick, luscious, beautiful hair, you know, and I highlight it for her every 6 months, you know, just to blend through her greys. But she has a mass of beautiful hair, like a lion's mane, you know, and she doesn't look her age, you know. So, and if she cut it off, it just wouldn't be the same person, you know. It just absolutely wouldn't. So, you know, I do think that is a controversial thing, definitely, because it is, again, how that person feels and their hair type. And but yes, you know, it's not necessarily a thing as you get older that you have to go shorter with it, you know. I think grow it long and look fabulous even at an older age, you know. You can pull it off. Yeah.
Love it.
I love that philosophy.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What are some of the highs and lows of your career?
Oh, so always highs for me are, you know, just taking out of the job, making people feel better. That's always highs for me. If I have someone come into the salon that's down and you know has got a lot going on, and by the end of it leaving and they feel fantastic, you know, it's a big part for me. But big wedding days, I've done big wedding days, you know, and being part of that's been absolutely brilliant. The highest part of my career was probably moving my salon to where I'm at now. I took a new premises on in lockdown, right at the start of lockdown, and it was an empty shell, and my solicitor said I was crazy. Why are you doing this in lockdown? You know, it's mad. But I thought, no, I'm going to do it. Something inside me said it would be the best idea possible. So I got a bigger premises, and I spent lockdown just completely doing the place up. And by the time we opened, everyone was so ready for haircuts, you know, everyone was desperate, queuing at the door, phoning, and I was so busy. So that was the prime time in my career to really, you know, go in for it, and it worked and it paid off. And I have to say, I'm so grateful to myself almost to everyone else telling me not to, because it makes me more persistent just to do it. That's the thing with me. Don't tell me not to do something, because I will do it. Lows, owning businesses always has its lows, you know. Before I did move the salon where I was before, it wasn't working for me. And there was often times where I thought, is this right? You know, is this the right thing for me? I've got 2 children as well, you know, and it's so hard to put business and family life together, you know. And there was often times where I thought, am I better off not doing this anymore? Because it's hard running businesses, you know. It's a competitive, like we've touched on, it's so competitive, and it's so hard running a business and having a family at the same time. And there were times where I thought, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. You know, I've got so much else that I need to do as well, and I'm just one person with all this that needs to be done. But you know, again, I've got so much good to come out of that outweighs the bad. You know, so that's why I'm still going. That's why I'm still doing it.
So trust your gut then.
Yeah, trust the gut. Trust the gut.
So what would you say to somebody who wants to start out in their own business, being it hairdressing or something else?
I just think if you have something in your mind and you are really passionate about it, or even if you're just curious, I think just go for it. Just give it a go. You know, going to get the advice from people that have the businesses, or you know, do your research, look into it. But if it's something that you really do feel like that's what you want to do, take it from me, just go and do it. You know, at a younger age is sometimes easy. You have less at stake, less to lose, you know, and that is your chance to just grab it by the hands and just go and do it, you know, give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, you know, but at least you tried. So I always think if that's what you want to do, you should just go and give it a go. Definitely.
Great
Absolutely.
advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Now we're going to go over to another style, and this is the fishtail plait, which is something I've always wanted to do, because it's not, it's like the Elsa plait, if you watch Disney. and so that's why I chose that one. And we're going to go and have a look at Beth doing the fishtail plait.
Fishtail braids look really complicated, but simply, so popping the hair in a ponytail to start, taking 2 even sections, splitting the ponytail in half, and then you simply take a piece of hair from behind, bringing it over the top and into the section on the left hand side. Same here, bringing the section over the top and then adding into the right hand side. Again, keep the tension as much as you can. And then again, adding a small piece from the back, bringing it over the top, adding into the left hand side, and again, small section. So it is literally taking a piece tiny piece of hair from each behind side of the bigger section, bringing it over the top and adding to the other side. Aubrey's hair obviously has layers, so slightly harder. The more that, like, one length makes it much simpler, but just keeping the tension. There we go. Adding each, and then again bringing it over and onto the other side. Small section over onto the other side. From left to right. Left to right. Small sections each time over the top. Right and left. Keeping as much tension on the hair as you can as you go down. Same as the French braid. The more tension you hold, the tighter it obviously stays. So left to right. Oh. I'm going to have to secure it there where the layers are.
My hair is difficult.
It's so hard.
I've always wanted to learn how to do the
fishtail.
So that's
so
amazing.
It's small sections as you come round.
Welcome back to Skits and Quibbles. Beth, it's been such a pleasure having you in, and as I say, we just look and feel amazing. Yeah. So that's what a good hair day does. Thanks to you.
No, you're welcome.
We're going to leave the top tips to you today, and it's your top 3 tips for looking after our hair.
Top 3 tips for looking after hair. First of all, don't overwash your hair. It's so important. So if you can try and leave it a couple of days in between each washing, to let the oils come back into the hair. The more you wash it, the drier the hair becomes. So try and find maybe dry shampoo or something like that to try and prolong washing it to doing it every day. Second tip, not too much heat. And if you use hair straighteners every day, really important not to do the heat too high on the straighteners. Find a pair of straighteners that have got something that takes the temperature down, you know. If you're straightening your hair in one day and then you need to redo it the next day, you don't need such hot straighteners the next day. Turn the heat down, because that's when you'll find that you're going to over process the hair, you know, and really damage it from doing it too much heat at a time. Third tip, regular conditioning treatments. Even if your hair isn't heavily processed or bleached, even if there is any colour, or just if your hair is completely natural, day-to-day life in the air and things like that, you know, even that can affect your hair. So masks, regular treatments, once a week, once a month even, can really help to nourish the hair and keep it nice and healthy.